So recently the Fire Emblem Heroes Gamepedia tier list has been updated and now features Halloween Jakob in S+ tier alongside Bravelyn. A lot of people have questioned this placement, which is why I got the idea to start this series where I'm going to analyze a character, what are the reasons that he places on a tier list where he does, and what his best builds are and whether or not I agree with this placement. So as mentioned, Gamepedia puts him in S+ tier, while GamePress puts him as a close second. Basically the same placement though. So what's so good about Jakob? Let's take a look at his stat line first. Jakob impresses with both a good defense and resistance. He has the 4th highest mix bulk, behind Winterlissa, Wintertharja and Sheena. However, he has the highest bulk out of all archers. Speaking of archers, with his 35 attack, Jakob also has the highest attack out of all the archers, tied with Bridal Cordelia and Valentine's Roy. His HP of 42 is fairly low for an armored unit, but in fact above average for normal bow users. While his speed of 23 is abysmal, an armored unit has several ways to compensate for poor speed. Now this stat spread actually allows Jakob to run several different builds successfully. The first build would be a close counter build utilizing a slaying bow as a weapon. As mentioned, you'd run close counter in the A slot, vengeful fighter in the B slot since this is an enemy phase build, either ward armor or armored march if using him in an armored team, or defense ploy if you're using him in a team without armors. As a special, this build makes excellent use of ether, as enemies will most likely double Jakob, and due to the cooldown reduction from Slaying Bow as well as the cooldown reduction from Vengeful Fighter, Jakob will always trigger ether on his second attack, unless the opponent has guard, which in turn should guarantee that Jakob takes out whatever unit attacks him. As a seal you can use either close or distant defense, depends on what kind of units you're dealing with more often. Or the new armored boots are also possible if you run him outside of an armored team. This build makes full use of Jakob's stat spread, allowing him to take on a very wide range of opponents, using his above average resistance for debuffing and his potent attack and vengeful fighter for an excellent enemy phase killer. It's a jack of all trades build, but this build alone wouldn't be what makes him a S+ tier. There's another build for him utilizing the guard bow, which you can get access to by refining the Assassin's Bow Plus from a Setsuna. The guard bow is essentially a bow with built-in distant defense 3, highly increasing your bulk against ranges. This build doesn't run close counter due to a focus on fighting ranges. In the A slot you can therefore run either another distant defense, making Jakob even more tanky, or a fierce stance to boost his damage. In the B slot, Vengeful Fighter is still the way to go since it is a ridiculously powerful skill and this is still an enemy phase build. The C slot will be the same as before, either Defense Ploy or Armored Synergy, and as a special we would swap Ether for either Bonfire or Iceberg, since we lack the appropriate cooldown reduction to use Ether. And as a seal we will run yet another distant defense. This build is not as flexible as the first one, as this build is only good for fighting ranges during enemy phase, however in that regard it is incredibly potent. If you go for triple distant defense in the seal weapon and A slot, Jakob's effective defensive stat line during combat would be 51 defense and 50 resistance, making him nigh unkillable for any range and also boosting Bonfire or Iceberg to ludicrous levels. Whatever ranged unit attacks Jakob with this build, as long as they don't use a Fire Sweep bow or Wind Sweep, they will die. Looking at these two builds, Jakob already seems pretty damn good, but there is yet another top tier build for Jakob, which is his player phase build. Brave bow builds are quite common on a lot of archers. Some play them on Lyn and some play them on Bridal Cordelia, but what if I told you that none of them can hold a candle to Jakob? As mentioned earlier, Jakob has the highest attack for archers with 35, but that is not all Jakob is going for him. Jakob is the only archer in the game that has access to Bold Fighter, a skill that is incredibly powerful in a Brave Bow build, since it not only guarantees Jakob a follow-up, absolutely nullifying the -5 speed downside of a Brave weapon, but also massively boosts the speed at which he charges his special, allowing Jakob to use Moonbow twice per combat, while applying his already high damage. In addition, other armored units could further boost his damage with abilities like Hone Armor or Goat Armor. This build makes Halloween Jakob an incredibly potent player phase unit, allowing him to one-round almost any unit in the game. And his bulk also comes in handy as it protects him from being killed in between his attacks. So to sum it up, Jakob has 3 top tier builds, 1 Jack of all trades build, 1 that is incredibly powerful against enemy ranges, and 1 that absolutely excels during player phase. Essentially, he can do it all, and he can do it all very well. In my opinion, Halloween Jakob is very much deserving of his position in the S+ tier, and the only 2 reasons that you don't see a lot more of him in Arena is that unlike Bravelyn, all of his builds are fairly high investment, and Jakob was a seasonal locked unit that at the time of his release was not that strong, but benefited greatly from the release of Bold Fighter and Vengeful Fighter, as well as the release of Guardbow. All in all, I definitely recommend rolling for Jakob should he come around again in one of the legendary banners soon to come. Thanks for watching this unit discussion. Do you agree with my unit analysis, or do you know of some other good builds for Jakob that I missed? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you liked this video and want to see more videos like it, feel free to like the video or subscribe for more videos in the future. Until next time.